What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
You dead meat!
Go ahead and laugh, you guys. If I ever find a little bastards that did this, they're dead meat.
Welcome to the Dead Meat Podcast, your horror safe haven. I'm Chelsea.
And I'm James. We're married and we like to get scared together.
Now on Dead Meat Presents.
That's right.
Dead Meat Presents.
Dead Meat Presents.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time Gressel's worked on a podcast that goes directly to Dead Meat Presents.
So yeah, obviously we were going to pick a movie that everyone's talking about and is kind of controversial to get those clicks.
Get them clicks, get them
we
subbies.
want people to watch the new channel.
Come
Thank
to the new
you
channel.
very much. Yeah, we're talking about Late Night with the Devil. I guess real quick before we talk about it, thanks everyone who came to our first ever live show.
Oh, yeah. For the Crow.
Yep.
In Detroit, Michigan.
I hope if you weren't there and you listened to the episode that you enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think it was really good audio quality for a live episode.
I think it sounded shockingly good because
Yeah.
I listen to podcasts where they do live episodes.
Yeah,
and
just click away right
away.
away.
It can be hit or miss for sure. Also, by the way, I had eye surgery like just under a week ago. So if my eyes are doing, like if I just go cross-eyed or look like weird, that's why. I'm still recovering. My one eye is a little funky.
Yeah.
Late Night with the Devil. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk.
We've seen it twice now.
We have. I like it best when we do podcast episodes and we're able to watch the movie twice.
It does help a lot.
Yeah. So did you like it more after the second time?
I think I did like it more the second time. I'm still, it's not my favorite from this year.
I like it a lot. Bordering on love it.
Yeah.
It was my most anticipated of the year. I don't think it's my favorite of the year, but it'll be top 10 for sure.
Sure.
Of the year. Maybe top 5, depending.
I think what's frustrating about this movie for me is like there's so much of it that I love and I think is done so well, and then there's things in it that I think are not done well that it makes it hard for me. Like it just makes me,
I think I agree.
it just frustrates me.
I think I agree with you, but I am less impacted. The things I don't like don't negatively impact my enjoyment as much, perhaps. Because I love, like, watching it a second time, I was not upset to watch it a second time.
No, I enjoyed watching it a second time, and I wasn't like, oh man, I gotta sit through this again.
Yeah, I find it an easy, cozy watch.
Yes.
I think it'll be great for Halloween time.
Yes, and we both love late night TV.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we both grew up staying up to watch like Conan, Letterman.
Mm-hmm.
I had a DVD of like Best of Johnny Carson when I was a kid, so a lot of this movie resonated with my memories of that.
We
as
both
a kid.
also really like 70s aesthetic.
Yeah.
And this hits that pretty well. I think the acting is great.
Yeah, I think all the performances in this are really strong.
I think all of the entire cast is just excellent. Like, obviously, David Dastmalchian finally in a leading role. Very proud of him. He nails playing the late night host. He's like, you can tell he's kind of a dick. Mm-hmm. This guy.
Yes.
Jack Delaney. Is it Jack Delaney?
Jack Delroy.
Jack Delroy. Kind of a dick.
Yes.
But he hides it so well under this professional veneer, just like all those old fucking late night hosts, man.
Carson pretty infamously was a dick.
Yeah.
Or if not a dick, I mean, he was kind of like Letterman was, where like if he's not interested in you, he's not going to pretend to be.
Yeah. And you can tell that here, just in like the montage at the beginning. You can see in some of the clips where he's just like not into something.
He's smirking at the camera, like, isn't this stupid?
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
He plays that part so fucking well.
Yeah.
The guy playing Gus is one of my favorites.
We love Gus
I
here
love
on the
Gus.
Demi Pod. Gus did nothing wrong.
Reese Oteri, this man who plays Gus in this movie that had a lot of hype, his Instagram has 300 followers, dude. He is like, and this is like his only feature length credit.
Appeared to be in this
Well, it looks like he's
movie.
an improv comedian.
Okay,
which makes sense. But he nails the sidekick role.
Yeah.
The Andy Richter, the Guillermo, the just put upon guy who's gonna be the butt of all the jokes. He fucking nails it. The little girl playing Lily.
I think she's fantastic.
Excellent creepy kid. excellent creepy kid. The guy playing Carmichael Haig, who is one of my favorites.
We're going to talk so much about Carmichael Haig, but I'm obsessed with Carmichael Haig as a character, as a fictionalization of a real person. We'll talk more about that too, but he also did nothing wrong, and I love this guy so
Did you
much.
recognize the actor Ian Bliss?
You know what? I had looked up other stuff he'd been in before we watched this the second time, and I did remember, yes, he's in The Matrix.
He's in 2 and 3.
He's Bane.
Reloaded and Revolutions, yeah. And then like Agent Smith takes him over or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember that character, and we just watched those movies
The fact
like
that
a year
we
ago.
just marathoned all of those not that long ago.
But he also, like, I Googled that character, and that he looks so different than how he looks in this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
But he's great. Like, everyone's great.
Yeah, the performances are really, really good. And
I love the music.
yes, yeah.
Not only the score, but the needle drops. The song "Keep It Warm" has been stuck in my head.
That's the one that's in the credits.
It opens up the movie and then starts the end
Oh, is it
credits
the opening
too.
montage of where it's explaining?
Yeah,
who
it's like
Jack
those piano,
is?
like do do do
Yeah.
do 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 do
Yeah,
do. That song I learned was one. It was sampled and interpolated. Is that how you say that?
Interpolated.
Interpolated. That's probably better. By Gucci Mane for his 2009 song Lemonade. And I looked that up, and yep, that song is certainly in there. And then it was done by Flo and Eddie. Do you know these guys, Gressel? Okay. No. See,
I bet your dad would have known.
It kills me that I can't
I
call
know.
him up and be like, Dad, who are these Flo and Eddie guys, man?
I bet he would. Oh, I played with those assholes.
Right?
once.
Because they
They owe me $10.
they were the Turtles, meaning like
The Turtles,
Imagine
I know.
Me and
Yeah,
You.
yeah.
And so they were the one of them was the lead singer of that.
Yeah.
And then when the Turtles disbanded, they joined the Mothers of Invention, Zappa's band, and like have a very prominent Flo and Eddie era that Zappa fans like deliberate. Did you like their era? Did you dislike it? They're like their vocals are very prominent, and like this song is so good. I love it. And apparently their music is kind of almost satirical and comedic. I saw one commenter on Reddit say that they were the original Tenacious D.
That's interesting.
And they also made me think of like They Might Be Giants because the song sounds good.
Vocally and style-wise, they make me think of Tame Impala a little bit. Like the way
Interesting,
their
at least for this
voices
song.
sound.
But it set me down a fucking wormhole.
I
And
bet.
so thank you, Late Night with the Devil. I'm not done going down this wormhole of Flo and Eddie. If you have any info, let me know because I'm into this right now.
Spell flow.
FLO?
Great.
Why?
Because it could be FLOW, just in case
Yeah,
people
like
want to
flow.
Google.
Sure,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Interested minds want to know.
Hustle and Flo and Eddie.
Yeah. But yeah, I love all the costuming in this is really great, and the color scheme. Even just down to little things like there's in this opening montage, there's a clip where I think it's the old woman spinning the wheel, and then there's streamers and balloons. And even the streamers and balloons, I don't know where they found these in this muted kind of color palette, but they look old. Like they not like they're fake, but they just look like an old kind of like old 70s birthday balloons. Like you're looking through old family photos, and that's kind of the it's really neat. The kind of attention to detail in that aspect.
I really enjoyed that opening montage, narrated by Michael Ironside.
Yeah.
It's a little long, but
Yeah.
I'm still like, great. We're learning about this history. It covers like early 70s to the movie takes place in 1977 Halloween night. So it shows
it
like
starts like 71,
yeah.
72, yeah.
So it shows like his emergence on the late night scene, the ratings battle with Carson, how he's forever also ran, and just like I love hearing that.
What's
great.
weird is like I was looking at like Carson's kind of show history too, and I think by this point Carson would have been filming in Hollywood, which is like a different era Carson.
Oh, okay. So I don't know that much Carson.
Yeah.
I never really watched it.
Yeah.
And Jack is in New York. Is that where
Yes.
Carson started, I
Yes.
assume?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, and man, this is what kills me. I try and do just cursory research, right? For this, and Google is fucking broken.
Oh,
it is
yeah.
so much harder to find anything that I like. For example, I'm trying to find when did late night stop broadcasting live? because it doesn't anymore, but they are in this. They are live on TV. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah, shows now are filmed a few hours ahead of time.
Yes.
Just in case.
Just in case.
You know?
Interest on the Wikipedia article for just late night TV, it does point out that Kimmel Show, which is where I worked for a couple of years, is filmed much closer to airtime than all the other talk shows.
No shit, really?
Yes.
I always assumed he was the earliest just because I had the first hand, and I was like, wow, this is hours ahead of time.
All the other shows film in like afternoon, like early afternoon.
Wow.
Kimmel films, if it's still the case, when I worked there, we filmed at 5 p.m. Pacific, and we were on air like hours later. Like it's a really tight turnaround. But, and I didn't know this, it has been the case where certain news items have broken that none of the other shows have gotten to. So
okay.
One notable example was Michael Jackson dying.
So Kimmel was able to cover that,
Yeah.
and the others. Wow, did not know that.
Yeah. Anyway,
I also
Kimmel went down my own rabbit hole,
Yeah.
a different one, but yeah. So I was trying to Google when did late night stop broad, and it was just all articles like when is late night coming back after the strike, and I couldn't find.
When did Carson stop hosting?
When did Leno start?
That's what I thought.
Oh,
I thought
did he go
I
to
thought
the
he made it
90s?
at least into the 80s.
Yeah, Leno took over for Carson.
From Carson?
Yeah.
God, did he make it all the way into the 90s hosting
It
that
might have been
fucking
like
show?
91. He was very white haired, I believe.
90. Yeah, Carson went till 92,
Holy
Oh shit. 90
which is crazy.
Yeah.
When did he start then? Like at least early 70s, if not
62.
60s. 62?
Yeah.
He did that show for 30 years?
He did for so long.
Oh my God.
Fun fact, when we were on Howie Mandel's podcast, which you should go listen to, that was a really fun episode. Both his episode on our show and we were on his show, we did a flip-flop. He, in his production offices in their studio, he has the cue cards from the very last taping of Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
They are up hanging in the studio, and I think he was excited that we were excited to see them as late night kind of dorks. So
Yeah.
but neat thing.
Okay, so those are all things that we like. What didn't you like? A lot of stuff at the end.
Yeah,
so we'll save that for
I
the
think,
spoiler part.
yeah, and just the way we go about the kind of finale of the movie. There were some effects that I don't like.
Here's a question. The bulk of the film is framed and presented in that opening narration as you are about to see
The last episode.
the last episode as it aired, the master tape, with some never before seen behind the scenes film.
Is that what they say?
They
It's
mention it.
It is.
Yes.
So it is
They
in
say
world.
footage
Okay, I
is
wasn't
behind the scenes.
sure.
Yes,
if
it is diegetic
this-
footage.
Yeah.
Just that has not been seen publicly. But realistically, it doesn't make sense.
No.
Because they're talking about very sensitive things. They're not acknowledging and being like trying to like hide from the
Go, don't
cameras.
look- yeah.
The cameras that are there would not be there
I
behind the scenes in
wonder
1977.
If they filmed it as we are breaking the reality of this is found footage and we're presenting it in this black and white, like this is the objective reality taking place and it's not meant to be part of this. And I wonder if somewhere in post they were like, let's just make it a behind the scenes thing. Maybe I wonder if
Maybe,
they
but it is filmed like a handheld people behind
it
the
is,
thing.
but I think it also helps differentiate that it is not part of the TV show.
Yes. Now, did this bother you?
Not really.
Okay.
That's,
And it
that
didn't-
stuff didn't bother me. I thought it was kind of cool.
And I've also seen people say that even the way that the show is presented, it is not edited and filmed like an actual show in the 70s.
No.
It's not.
It's it's more
It's much
modern
more acted.
day.
Yeah.
Talk show, but it has enough of like, I mean, I guess a counterpoint to that is like late night hasn't changed a ton over the years, you know? I mean, that's why I liked watching Carson as a kid, even though, you know, thinking back on it, I'm sure 90% of those jokes meant nothing to me because it's about very specific current events of like the 70s that me as a 10-year-old, I don't care or know about. But the format is so similar. You got the opening monologue and then you're doing some bits and you got your 2 interviews and a musical guest and like
It didn't bother. Like, while watching, I'm like, okay, this isn't striving for the most accurate rendition of this possible.
No.
But it's close enough to be enjoyable, and it doesn't bother me.
And
Some
again,
people are bothered
like
by it.
late night it's barely changed anyway, so that doesn't bug me too much, I guess. Yeah. Like it's still that's part of what is kind of a threat to late night is who wants this still because it is so old fashioned.
For sure.
And of course there is the ever looming shadow of the use of AI in this film, which I do have a lot of feelings about, and I'm sure you do as well, because this was what made this movie very controversial and unfortunately became the thing that people associate with this movie.
Some people. Yeah, like very online people. I think it's understandable to be upset about the use of it. It was they have interstitial cards when they go to commercial, and I believe 3 of those images the directors said
there are 3 of them, and the logo itself.
Oh, like with the owl?
Yeah, the one on the door, and it's on the drum set. I believe
Okay.
is AI as well.
So the director said that they used AI to generate those images, and then they were further altered by a
I don't
crew.
know if that's true.
That's what they said. That's all we have.
I know.
Is to go by that. This was also filmed and made pre-strikes, conversation about AI. Like it was, I feel like it was made when people were
We were all messing with it.
Yeah, when it was like,
we
cool.
were like, generate trail cam footage of Mario in the woods, you know?
Yeah, it was shit like that.
But like, I don't know. The other thing that I find weird, and I would love to have this confirmed because I couldn't find any like proof of this, but apparently when this was screened at, I think, Beyond Fest and other people said that these were not part of the film. So I don't know.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So that's the one wrinkle where I'm like, why are some people saying that these were not in the movie at a certain point? I don't know.
I also wonder why they couldn't just replace those images.
I don't get why they don't just replace
They're
it.
such short images. They're up there for like 2 seconds.
And like, I think they look like dog shit.
They don't look great.
I
Those
think
skeletons'
they're so
hands are fucked up,
distracting.
man.
The skeletons got weird hot dog fingers. Like the pumpkins' faces are all fucked up. I just like that's the thing from it, it's a few things. Like one, I think the use of AI in this fashion is like, for me as a working creative person, it's scary. It's frustrating. I think it's insulting. It sucks. Like,
yeah, I wish they would have just paid someone to make those images.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have cost that much. You
yeah.
can make a few $100.
You could get someone on Twitter
Fucking
freelance
Fiverr, dude.
do it. Yeah, Fiverr. Like it wouldn't be, I don't know. So I think that's what frustrates me, and especially because like we were just talking about, the attention to detail and so many other aspects of this movie is really cool, and you can tell there was thought put into it. And so then when you do something like this, it totally distracts from everything else going on.
Especially because it is trying to be a 70s set, 70s style film, which has no place for AI. Like,
right.
Like what was the Marvel show that had like an AI opening?
Secret Invasion.
Yeah. And like with that, I didn't love it, but it was like thematically it still kind of made more sense than this.
That one I learned that they apparently trained the AI. They fed it a bunch of their own art.
Oh, okay. As
so I'm like,
to like stealing art.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay.
Well, that's
whatever.
the thing is AI, it can be a useful tool. It can be
and like
such a useful tool. It just shouldn't
AI
replace.
has been used in like, especially like post-production and shit for years. Like I was talking to a like a voiceover studio owner, and he was telling me that for years, like AI is used in certain aspects where it's not a job a person would be doing anyway. It is just a tool to make us go less insane. And that
in Premiere, you can use
like
it.
Animation, that's the thing. It's Premiere.
You
This
can use
is a
it to
cool
like
thing.
stretch a song to be longer, so it hits the time that you need it to be, and it'll generate.
That's cool.
And
I think
that's great.
that's actually super useful, and I use it for like
no editor is like, damn it, now I don't have to fucking find the beat
Yeah.
and like match it up to make it longer.
Like,
No.
yeah, surprise, AI has been used on the Dev Meat podcast, technically, because for the ad break, sometimes my ad blocks are longer than the music that I use, and I use that tool to stretch this so
tool,
you
yeah.
don't notice that there's
But then, like, is that really the AI we're talking about? Because now I think there's differentiating between AI and AIG. I don't know what the G stands
that's
for, but
Generative.
generative. Okay, so like,
So
there's
that's, I mean, anything where it's like, cool, we don't have to pay a person to do this anymore is where I just, you
like
know,
a person who would want to do it.
yeah, and
like-
yeah, obviously there's the ethical problem there where it is taking away work for an artist, but also it's just we deserve better. You know what I mean? Like, I personally don't want just generated stuff like that. To me, I what's the point? There's no point, because the thing I love so much about movies and art is it is like a peek into someone else's brain, and that is not what AI is fundamentally. It's just
Yeah.
not.
It's just making content.
It's just glop.
Yeah. All that being said, I personally feel as that it would be that the effort to boycott this movie over that is a little misguided, just because it features the work of it's an independent film made for a small budget, featuring the work of so many people who had absolutely nothing to do with that decision and were probably completely unaware of it until the story broke.
Right.
And I feel like it'd be more damaging to punish those people and this independent small budget film, because I don't think the lesson that would be taken away by this movie doing poorly is, oh, AI is bad. It would just be, oh, this like original concept low budget movie did poorly. At the same time, I understand the desire of being like, well, now that the AI is an issue, if it does do poorly, maybe that'll be a warning sign.
That's
about
where I
it.
like kind of disagree with you. You know, I see both sides of the argument of like we should boycott this movie. The thing that gets me is like at a certain point you have to tell studios and like higher ups that you don't want this shit. Do you know what I mean?
I think you can.
Especially like what really made me feel this way thinking about this movie specifically is the fact that, you know, like 2 weeks ago we got those absolute ass looking posters for Civil War. Did you see those AI generated posters?
For the A24
and then and people were like, what the fuck, A24? And then they released a statement that was like, well, we used AI to kind of, it was this total word salad about how it tied into the themes of the movie, and it was like bullshit. Like, it looks like garbage. It just sucks. They're just ugly and awful, and I just feel like this is the slow trickle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this, it's just these little here and there things that we're gonna see, and I feel like unless people make a big stink about it and make it so toxic to put in your work, that then I think studios will think, oh, well, we can get away with this because no one cares that much.
Sure, I understand that.
It sucks that this had to almost be a sacrificial lamb for that, but I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
I get that. Maybe I'm just cynical and don't think it'll ultimately change anything, and so we're just.
I mean, I don't
hurting
know.
David
Studios
Dalsmalchian
don't
and-
want bad PR,
I think we live online,
I guess.
and that most people don't.
I mean, true. Like Civil War did like crush the box office.
Yeah,
But
it's one of the few things that has this year. But yeah. So I don't know if I just feel like the people who would otherwise support this boycotting it is just going to hurt the movie with those fans and not affect anything else, maybe. And maybe that's a cynical view, but it feels like, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, either way, whether you feel more like James or more like me, either way, it's like, well, the people who made this get fucked over and artists get fucked over. And it sucks that then the onus kind of is put on us to have these arguments when we should just be talking about the movie itself,
Yeah.
you know? Sucks. I hate it. God. And it just looks like shit. I know I just said it already, but it looks like garbage. And I wish they could just go in and George Lucas and just put something else there. Put some dewbacks in there. Put in the like singing. What's that? The like song he put in Jedi. Put that.
Song,
Put her in there.
Cy Snoodles.
He put Cy Snoodles in there.
Well, I might be Cy Snoodle. I might be Michigan.
You're adding it. Dude, you could have Cy Snoodles and is it Cleo Jones as the music guest who gets kind of shafted? There you go. You got both of them singing.
As long as Max Rebo and Figure and Deanne get a moment too.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hey, I want to talk to you about our sponsor this week, Rocket Money. If I asked you how many subscriptions you have, would you be able to list all of them and how much you're paying? If you're like me before using Rocket Money, you have no idea how much money you're wasting on services you don't even realize you've subscribed to. It makes me genuinely anxious to check my bank statements. It's like finding out you've left a window open all week and the AC's been running at the same time. Our sponsor this week is here to help you with that. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. I can see all of my subscriptions in one place, and if I see something I don't want, I can cancel it with a tap. And I never have to get on the phone with customer service. Rocket Money will even try to get you a refund for the last couple months of wasted money and negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/deadmeat. That's rocketmoney.com/deadmeat. rocketmoney.com/deadmeat. Well, all right, we talked about the AI thing. I feel good getting that out of the way because that is the hot button issue, and I feel bad for all the cast and people involved with this movie that didn't decide to put in a shitty looking skeleton and had to then answer for their movie's crimes in various interviews. It sucks. Anyway.
All right, we can talk about the movie.
We're talking about Late Night with the Devil,
after the 9 production cards we get.
Yes, okay, we can talk about the parade of production. Gressel, we gotta show you the opening of this movie
it's a
because
fucking bit, dude.
It is very funny, and I'm
imagining the beginning of like Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yes, it is. It starts to feel like
after
that.
the third one, you're like, oh, we got another one, huh? And then like after the 6th one, you're
it's like, oh my god, there's
it's still
more.
going. I think there are 9 total.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Like credits or
Production
like
production
cards.
company cards.
Yes. Yeah.
You're watching like the Oscar nominated shorts is what it starts feeling like. You're just watching a shorts program.
Best one, Good Fiend.
Good Fiend is the best one.
That's David Dastmalchian.
I was looking it up.
Yeah.
It is this cute little stop motion animation of it's like a little suburban street and then all the neighbors turn into monsters.
Well, the kid puts on X-ray glasses.
His X-ray glasses.
Yeah.
It's super cute. I'm obsessed with
Most
it.
boring AGC, I'm going to say.
I don't remember that one.
Exactly, because it was really boring.
Yeah.
It's just letters. Step it up, AGC.
It was frustrating seeing people complain about this for real, like they wanted to do this. Like, no, this is an indie movie. Sometimes you gotta cobble stuff together.
Yeah, this is all right. If we all pitch in $5 each, we can get this movie made.
And here's a little thing about the industry: everyone wants their name on stuff.
Oh yeah,
all right.
Because isn't the budget of this thing only like $1 to $2 million?
Oh yeah,
I think it's like that low.
Yeah, really low budget.
Yeah,
but this person's getting their whole production card in the beginning. Well, our studio has to have our full production card as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes a weird political dance, and that's how you end up with this parade of production cards.
Yeah. No, I mean, if that's who, yeah.
If that's what gets the movie made, then
that's what it
who
takes.
cares? But yeah, we start off with a montage of the 70s and the kind of chaos of the 70s, which we talk a lot about this period of time in our Texas Chainsaw Massacre episode from way, 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 way back when I think for the last time I had eye surgery, funnily enough, because I remember I was wearing glasses in that episode.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. That's hilarious.
Yeah, my eye surgery I got last week was an update to that eye surgery because my eyes just continue to get worse. But yeah, like the 70s probably felt like the apocalypse to live through a little bit when you look at the history and like what was going on in that time period versus like the 20 years leading up to it. It's crazy.
Yeah, like late 60s and 70s would have been real crazy.
It's the decade where like the years of babies eating lead paint, I feel like we start to hit like crest the hill of them becoming adults, and that's why there's so many serial killers and shit.
Cults.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Nixon.
Yeah. But yeah, occult stuff. We also talk about this period in our Wicker Man episode, specifically the kind of occult fascination of the late 60s and 70s and the phenomenon of like occult documentaries, which there are kind of like fake versions of those in this. Specifically, one is like a direct homage to another one. We'll talk about it when we get there. But yeah, in our Wicker Man episode, we talk about, I think specifically the kind of British like occult documentary scene and that kind of moral panic.
So Jack Delroy
Yep.
is a late night host on UBC fictional network trying to go up against Carson. And, you know, he's pretty popular. He's on a cover of a magazine as the thinking woman sex symbol. But his ratings just are not reaching Carson's. They're unable to do it. 4 seasons in, they're still just not reaching the match or getting the awards. Just nominated and always second place. He's part of a gentleman's club or organization called the Grove.
The Grove. I mean, it's Bohemian Grove.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is a real life.
That's a real thing. It sounds like the lamest shit ever. Were you also reading the Bohemian Grove Wikipedia article?
I didn't go to the article, but I heard that the Bushes were part of it.
Lots of former presidents, politicians.
Was it Prescott Bush?
I'm sure. I'm sure. Like
Papa Bush.
I can't off the top of my head name which politicians and like other celebrities. It's still a men's only thing. Women still can't.
Oh, it's still a thing.
Join. Oh yeah, it's still a thing.
Sure.
Speaking of politicians that are part of Bohemian Grove and the kind of culture, Nixon, who we just talked about in this episode, apparently fucking hated Bohemian Grove. And this
no way would he be a part of it.
James, I swear, this is a quote from the Wikipedia article. Richard Nixon said, quote, "The Bohemian Grove."
Wait, can I read it in a Nixon voice?
Sure, you go for it.
The Bohemian Grove, which I attend from time to time, it is the most goddamn thing you could ever imagine with that San Francisco crowd.
So it's this like club where fucking old white guys hang out and put on plays and have like do like fake occult shit. There is the giant owl that's a real thing.
And is the oh wait, in real life? Mm-hmm. Oh wow. Well, it's part of the Grove in this movie, and then it becomes the symbol of his show, the Night Owls.
Yep.
The owl imagery is all over the place. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they have meetings in the redwoods and maybe do occult stuff, and like the whole thing is they get people successful careers. And why isn't it working for him? I don't know. In 1976, after a few years of the show, his wife and partner Madeline gets lung cancer all of a sudden.
Yeah, she's a non-smoker.
Non-smoker who gets lung cancer. She goes on the show and has a tearful like thing with him, just talking about their relationship. It's the highest rated episode of the show's history, but still falls a point short of Carson.
Like, man.
Fuck, that sucks. And then she dies 2 weeks later. So
what's
real rough time for Jack,
what's
man.
a guy gotta do to be number one?
He only leaves for a month, and then he comes back to host the show.
Yep.
And but then they start, him and his producer Leo start trying to court controversy to get the ratings up. You see him like arm wrestling with a little person. You see my favorite part of the whole fucking movie. This is so weird
because we just talked about this on the podcast.
You see him interviewing a like alt-dressed pop star who's like, "You used to be the fucking man, Jack," in a very clear rendition of the Madonna Letterman interview from the 90s that I am just all about.
That's so. What were we talking about that on Cemetery Man?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
That's so
'Cause
weird.
That actress did a rendition of. Go watch that if you haven't. It's 11 minutes.
Second film we've covered that references that.
It's fucking iconic.
It
It's
is iconic,
great.
yes.
It's so good.
It's so good. Late Night's great. When Late Night's great, it's the best.
So now it's Halloween 1977, the start of Sweeps Week, and he's got a big old show planned to get those ratings back.
Yeah, we're doing all kinds of spooky shit trying to be number one.
And this is that footage, Late Night with the Devil.
Yes.
Gus introduces him. Both times we watched it, you hear the opening spiel, and then it cuts to Gus saying it. I'm like, that voice is coming out of that guy?
Uh-huh.
Like both times. I thought there'd be an announcer and then the sidekick, but no, it's just Gus. He doesn't have a...
Yeah, normally... I'm thinking back through because it's two different people for Kimmel. Letterman is not Paul wasn't the announcer.
Conan had the announcer. I forget his name, but he was the running bit was that he was this psycho pervy guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you think of Letterman?
No, that was Conan's
Did
guy.
they both have scary announcers?
Ed McMahon did Carson though, right? And
Was he both?
Oh, was he?
That's probably what they would be referencing.
Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
He's
so he was
he's
the
the guy
sidekick.
who would be like, "Here's Johnny."
Yeah.
Okay. So he was the sidekick and the announcer. Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah, because Conan had Joel Goddard, who, the running thing was that he was fucking just this weirdo.
Joel, you weren't a member of Heaven's Gate? Yes, I was.
I don't think he was scary. I don't know what you're talking about with Letterman.
Alan Coulter, I couldn't remember his name, but his whole thing was that he was a fucking psychopath. And he honestly was my sleep paralysis demon for years growing up. I was so
Oh, yeah.
scared
I've
of him.
seen him in a fucking white tank
Yes,
top
no,
here.
he was his whole thing was that he was unhinged and
he died?
yeah,
Oh,
and
Joel's still alive.
huh?
Joel's still alive, 87.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, Alan's whole thing was literally drop of a pin, he could just snap.
Here's the question. Who is the creepiest person on television today? Is it Andy Rooney? Sally Jesse Raphael? Jerry Springer? Or late show announcer Alan Coulter?
Alan Coulter.
You're absolutely right, it's Alan Coulter. You've won $16,000. Hey, the guy from the Letterman show.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was expecting an announcer. They decided to forego that and just have it all in one. But that's fine. Gus is great.
I love Gus so
Gus is
much.
the best.
Gus did nothing wrong.
Poor Gus. He just gets yelled at and humiliated.
I would love to do a podcast episode of most fucked over horror characters because Gus is certainly one of them.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't even want to be there by
He-
the end of it.
Have that be a tribe for Horror Survivor.
Oh my god. Yeah, if we're gonna start doing themed seasons.
Yeah, we'll see. The opening monologue is so realistic.
Oh, it's so real, especially the little hits by the band. That's
Yeah.
very Carson.
He's doing like a baseball
Yeah.
swing and the drum.
Carson would do the golf.
Yep.
The golf swing.
He's playing with a suit jacket. He's
Mm-hmm.
making jokes about Carter. It's just so spot. Well, actually, it's jokes about Billy Carter, and
I
we forgot to
forgot
put
the
the Billy
Billy
beer.
beer.
We have a 6-pack
Oh,
of Billy beer in our family
no.
room, vintage.
Fuck.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite little pieces of political ephemera that we own.
We elected the wrong Carter.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter's brother Billy, who is mentioned in this film. He had a beer. He had his own beer called Billy Beer, and it was pretty infamously bad. And we have a 6-pack of it that I bought off eBay.
He was just the butt of jokes, including in this movie. And I'm just now realizing, that was hilarious for us. I wonder how many people are like, what is this? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Why are we talking about Jimmy Carter's brother? No, Billy Carter was a thing.
Yeah, and yes, the Billy Beer that we have is still unopened. There is beer in them.
In 5 of the cans.
Yeah, that's right. One of
One of
them, I
them-
think it must have leaked or
Yep.
something. I don't think we'll ever open it.
Probably not. His first guess is a psychic, Christou.
Christou. Yeah, this feels very late night guest, old school late night guest as well.
His shiny lame jacket.
Yeah, I
that
feel
you really liked.
a magician / psychic does fit well with the kind of what is now I think mandatory the routine animal expert. We kind of see a bit of that in the show
montage.
montage, like the Jack Hanna kind of like we're putting animals on the host and the host hates it. Yeah. That's like a requirement of being a late night host, I think, is you have to be kind of terrified of animals.
I wonder how many people watch this movie without this familiarity of late night shows and are just like, they probably weren't bothered by it, but they probably didn't see the appeal of like this montage where we're seeing the animal handler.
Yeah, where it's clearly this was made by people who love late night.
Yeah, which is great. That's always great when you have a movie that deals with a topic that the people clearly are very informed of, and it's coming from a place of love, and it's all these, if not direct parodies, just nods to things.
You know who was a late night regular in like the same vein as like a Jack Hanna or kind of, you know, like a recurring bit guest was Tom Savini on Letterman.
Really?
Yeah, he would go on Letterman and show him how effects were done.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't
And
know
he
that.
would bring in pieces from like whatever movies he was working on at the time.
Oh,
So he
cool.
would show Dave like, this is a knife that makes it look like your throat's been slit. So he would do like gore stuff for him.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
My God.
Now here's
Jiminy.
see his expressions here.
Oh, he's got kind of a nasty head wound up here.
Yeah, I'll show you what happens with that head wound. He was hit with a machete and his head kind of split. Yeah. Now this is what I was talking about.
This would be great, you know, at a party, just put dip in there.
Oh, man. I wish we could just do podcasts about random shit like late night shows.
I loved Conan so much when I was a kid that in 7th grade for an English assignment, we were assigned to write a letter to a celebrity. And if we got a letter back, we would get extra credit. I got my letter back 3 years later. I was in 10th grade and I got a package in the mail from NBC one day. It was like, what the fuck
Did you
is
bring
this?
it to your 7th grade teacher and get retroactive extra
I
credit?
did not, no. But it did have an autographed picture of Conan inside that I still have somewhere.
I liked
It's back
Conan.
in Michigan.
I liked Conan so much. My online handle for gaming was Masturbating Bear.
Oh, good.
Got me banned from a few servers.
bet.
Probably couldn't have that today. But
Dude.
but Masturbating Bear was near the top of those Battlefield 2 ranks.
You know
Global
what?
rankings.
Can I say? And I swear we'll get back to the movie. After
I know
this.
this. I feel so bad for
We're
people. wanting us to
going
hear
we're
about
going
this
down a
movie.
nostalgia spiral. I remember specifically in my letter to Conan that the thing that I mentioned that I had just seen on his show that I thought was really funny was he interviewed Joe Pesci and they tried on each other's pants
That one stood out to you.
because he's so big and he's so small.
yeah, Conan
And it
is
was
big.
funny.
That's real funny. All right. Christu is doing his thing. He's doing crowd work. The first guy who
Yeah, he's a medium, so he's like I sense the letter P or B or
Peterman or
Peter.
Peter.
Yeah.
Some guy in the
Total charlatan stuff.
yeah, some guy in the crowd's like, "Oh, my ex-wife's last name is Peterman." And it's like, "Oh, she's in this room." She is. She ran off with a neighbor 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then Jack's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He's like, "Don't be. My golf game's never been better."
Yeah,
like,
so
this guy is fucking hilarious.
We're still. I think he must have been a plant.
You
maybe.
think so?
Yeah, because it's
like,
too funny.
In the first like commercial break when we go backstage, the producer says something along the lines of like, "What'd you think of our friend, that
Barry.
guy, Barry?"
I wonder if what it was is they put him there as like if he doesn't immediately get a hit, then
Yeah.
this guy can like just start working it. And
Or he could just be like, you know, our friend Barry, just like that weirdo in the crowd.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah. Because because the lights flicker at some point, and Jack's like, "Were you responsible for the lights flickering?" And clearly he wasn't, but he's like, "Well, if you liked it, I'll take full credit for it." So it's hard to tell like what he did and what he didn't.
right.
But yeah, Christu is like he lands with a mom and daughter whose son like killed himself, and so he's talking to them and like he says, "Don't worry, he can hear you and he knows it's all okay."
Yeah, and
Just
it's
that
the
kinda
typical
shit.
kind of predatory
Yeah.
medium stuff. And later we see my favorite character who appears later. He's talking to these same women and he discovers, oh, there was a plant in the lobby asking people
There's a questionnaire
pertinent
they
questions.
answered, and
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
that's how they do it. But before they go to commercial break, Christu does appear to have a actual experience. His eyes roll back, the lights get blown out, and he is screaming about Minnie.
Yeah.
He's saying, "Please, someone accept this, Minnie!"
Minnie, and no one's claiming
Gus
Minnie.
is like, "I had a great Aunt Molly." No, it's Minnie!
It's Minnie. And I do. His eyes are really creepy. His eyes kind of roll back, and it's a neat looking effect because they also get kind of like bloodshot looking. It's very nice. And he's like, there's an unmarried man with a wedding ring, and then he kind of snaps out of it, and Chris Douche is not the same the rest of this.
No, that guy's fucked up after that.
Oh yeah,
because he finally actually experienced something real.
Right, yes, he did actually channel something.
After the commercial break, they have which they come back from the commercial break, and I think we both laughed at this the second time. It like comes back from the card, and there's like a fake bat flying into the camera. It's so good.
Yeah, during the commercial break, when we're in this kind of black and white, purportedly behind the scenes documentary, we get, I think, the first glimpse of a ghost. If you look for her, yeah, she's in one of the mirrors in the background, like the kind of makeup mirror. So I didn't notice any of this the first time.
And by the way, if you like this format and you enjoy this,
Ghost Watch is fucking awesome. This had to have been inspired by Ghost Watch, down to the kind of fight between the skeptic and the believer thing.
Ghost Watch is a early 90s British production that actually aired on the BBC and was presented as
real,
actual, like kind of like a Dateline show.
They had actual BBC hosts playing themselves in it, and it caused a freak out. It was like a War of the Worlds freak out.
Because they were like, I had on-the-scene investigators of a house that was purportedly haunted, and then shit just got spiraled out of control. It's a great watch, especially that early on. Clearly inspired a lot of Paranormal Activity. And if you want, you can watch it with our commentary track on our Patreon. Yes. We did a little watch-along. It's on Shudder.
So. Ghost Watch is incredibly underrated in the history of horror.
Because I didn't even know about it until we did that commentary. But like, it's clearly influential, and it is in the DNA of this film.
Jed Shepard of Host fame has said that Ghost Watch is a big influence on his filmmaking.
Yeah. So definitely check that out if you were a fan of this and just the whole. Like,
and I think
format.
it's scary. I think Ghost Watch was genuinely scary.
Ghost Watch has some scariness to it.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he has CARMICHAEL HAIG on next, the skeptic.
CARMICHAEL HAIG, I fucking love this character. It is a clear take on James Randi.
Only a douchebag version.
I don't think James Randi was this much of a dick.
Yeah. James Randi became one of my heroes when I hit my atheist stage in high school. He was one of the people I learned about.
Much admired by high school atheists.
Yes. Much like CARMICHAEL HAIG, the Randi Foundation has a standing offer of a lot of money to anyone who can prove supernatural abilities. And much like CARMICHAEL HAIG, it has never had to pay out any money.
Their offer, I believe, is $1 million. It just is no longer I think after his death, it's like no longer a thing. They retired it. But yes, for years there was the offer, and they would genuinely run tests. I mean, it was like an institute. They would study claims of the paranormal. A podcast, if you find this kind of like era interesting and this kind like occult and occult skepticism interesting, I love the podcast Ono, Ross, and Carrie. She one of the hosts on that show worked for the Randi Institute. I don't know if she still does, but she was involved with the institute and knew James Randi and spoke very highly of him and said he was a very kind man. So this version of him is so funny to me. I mean, it works for this movie. It's so fun having this guy be such a massive dick the whole time.
This guy's such an asshole. He's
not wrong. Like he
does snap at the makeup people. Yeah,
and you can tell he is kind of he wants to get into the Grove. There's a little conversation that he has
after
with
they
Jack.
go to commercial at one point. He's like, Jack, can you
gotta
get
me in the Grove.
I want in on those orgies.
I want those orgies. Yeah.
He also says something that, like, I feel very strongly. He's like, I wish that the supernatural was real. It'd be awesome, but I can't just fake myself into believing it. I don't believe it's true. I love how he has IFSIP, the International Federation of Scientific Investigation into the Paranormal.
Yes.
A lot of words, as Jack says.
I forget what the abbreviation for Randy's is. It has a similar kind of...
And then you see all these still photos of him running tests on skeptics, and then him in front of the Amityville house. And he's like, my dear friends, the Warrens declined to join me.
God, put him in a movie at the Warrens. There was a tweet about this already. I can't claim to be the person who has thought of this, but It's yes.
Put him in all the Conjuring movies. Have special edition
please.
Conjuring movies with Carmichael Haig just
or
talking
like
shit about them
commentary
the whole time.
tracks
Yeah,
on
oh
all
my
the
God.
Conjuring movies with this guy.
He has the world's largest lapels because
Yeah.
it's the 70s. It's
Yes.
great. And the crowd fucking hates him.
Oh,
As
the
of
crowd
course
is-
the crowd
Because
does.
he's there to poop all over their Halloween fun. We're trying to commune with spirits. We're trying to talk to a demon later, and he's having none of it. And he's trying to prove how it's all fake. He's like a mean Darren Brown.
Sure. He's got that like Richard Dawkins
Yes,
edge to him,
yes.
you know? I wouldn't necessarily say like, I wouldn't go as far as a Sam Harris, but that
He's
Richard Dawkins like
better than you. Like
smarminess, yeah.
I have come to the conclusion that none of this is real. Therefore, I am a smarter person than
yes,
you.
arrogance.
Yeah.
Jack admits that Minnie was a nickname he had for his wife, Madeline.
Yeah. So he finally says, "Look, I think Christu's reading was meant for me."
Yeah, because he is also a married man with a wedding ring.
Yeah, and Christu's is not looking so hot. Also,
Christu is still
Christu's
yeah.
trying to leave the studio.
He just wants water, and he's not happy that the skeptic is talking shit about him, and he tries to leave the studio, and then he vomits black bile everywhere. I don't love the effect here.
I wrote that exact same thing.
Yeah.
It
it's-
looks digital, which I can forgive, but what sucks is this is a found footage 70s movie, and if something looks digital, I immediately am taken out.
Yeah. Just put a hose behind his fucking mouth
Yeah.
and spit it out, dude. It just looks like a fluid
Yeah.
simulation coming at the camera.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
it's a
agree.
little. It's the first instance of like effects that don't work for me. But again, very low budget, so you know it's always hard, especially with something like this. The cleanup.
Yeah, that's time.
If a take doesn't go well, that reset is gonna cost you.
That's the thing is like, yeah, it is easy to say, okay, just do it practical. But then that starts a domino effect of, okay, well, if we make it practical, we've got to set it up. That's time. That's people you need there. Then it's cleanup. That's, okay, we got to keep the actors here longer. It's wardrobe. It's, you know.
That's why digital blood is used so much more than squibs nowadays, is because it's easier to do it in post than like,
Yeah.
oh, that didn't work. We gotta clean
Yeah.
it up and do it again.
Do I like it? No. But that's why it is done
At
this
such a
way.
low budget, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, this was when I noticed that Jack called the drummer in the band Sticks, which is just great. I
Sticks,
just love-
yeah.
Like I love that that you Phil is like the
Oh, man.
floor manager. Sammy's the makeup person. It just feels very real for a late night set.
Like, it
all these
made
people.
me nostalgic both for watching late night and for working in late night. Like, working in late night, such a weird little bubble, and I'm so lucky I got to do it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because this, you know, being there for tapings and being around for, like, the full uncut production of a talk show every night, it just, I don't know. It just made me feel a certain
I wonder if
way.
anyone in the, and we haven't even mentioned that the writers and directors, is that right?
Yeah, I believe so.
A pair of Australian siblings, again, not Talk to Me, not the
Yeah,
Philippines, different pair of Australian siblings, Colin and Cameron Cairns. Oh, written, directed, and edited by them. I'm not familiar with their work, and it does not appear they have a Wikipedia article, so I'm assuming this is early in their career, but yeah, I also didn't know, co-production of Australia, the United States, and the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, that's why there's so many production cards. But yeah, also the UAE. That was
UAE.
I didn't-
What? Okay.
They got money.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
we cut back to the show, and there's a little remark about, I think Jack says something about the check that Carmichael Haig has brought with him, and he's put back in his pocket, and he says, oh, we might just see this check again. I have a feeling. And we do indeed later in the film.
He also, when he goes to start talking again, he's interrupted by a siren
You hear
in the
siren.
background.
This is why a rewatch is kind of cool, because we instantly realized, oh, those sirens are for Christu.
Yeah, because
Something's
he's
going
being
on
taken away,
backstage.
and then during the next commercial break, you find out he died en route to Sinai, they say.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even specify. They're just like Sinai called, and that's Cedar Sinai, which is that everywhere, or is that just L.A.?
It'd be
The hospital network.
weird if it was supposed to be LA, because the opening
Oh, you're right, it's
title
New
is
York. We're in
like,
New York.
it's just like the Twin Towers. It's definitely
You're
New
right,
York
yeah.
City, yeah. What I think is really interesting watching this again is Jack the entire time is so insistent on the paranormal being real. And watching it back, it's like, okay, I get why. And can we talk about that? I mean,
Yeah, we're in the spoiler section.
Okay, yeah. So his wife dying was not completely natural. We kind of put the pieces together by the end that he did do some kind of ritual at the grove, and it was a sacrifice. And
it appears as though he didn't know it would be her.
Yes, I think it was a thing where it's like making a risky wish with a djinn or something.
Do
where
you agree to sacrifice?
Yeah, you'll
something
sacrifice
for your fame?
something, and
It ended up being her.
They play the clip twice, but I did notice it again this time in the beginning, where when Jack inks a 5-year deal with the network, there is a reporter saying like, Jack, what'd you have to sacrifice to get here? Yeah. And watching this the second time around, I realized, oh, dude, of course he wants all this to be real, because if it's not real, then his wife dying truly was random. And that's like unbearable, to believe and think could have happened to you, that there was no, like, I gained nothing from my wife having died so young of such a miserable disease.
So under this theory that you're purporting, he has realized that her death was part of the sacrifice.
I think maybe he's thinking, oh God, that must have been it, because she gets sick so suddenly and dies, and it pointedly says she was not a smoker.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Well, yeah, her death was definitely the sacrifice.
I'm thinking if I'm him and I do this whole thing and she gets sick and dies, I probably put the pieces together and realize, oh my God.
I guess there is an interpretation also of his face during that show that she's on, and that she's talking to him. I guess you could interpret his looks as like almost guilt.
I did this to you.
Yeah.
And he's not saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it could just be him broken up that his dying wife is in front of him.
I'm sure it's both.
It could be both.
But I do think it's interesting if he definitely knows, like, that is ultimately what the sacrifice ended up being. But if it's not, if none of it was real and it just so happens that my wife died and it's a total coincidence, that's worse to me, because that means my wife's gone and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't get me anything. It's not a sacrifice. She just died of cancer young. And I'm not going to be number one. But if the paranormal's real, then that means the sacrifice was real and I made that happen, but I get something out of it.
Yeah. And I saw a comment online also pointing out how so much of the movie and so much of the characters in it are using other people for their own gain. Jack using his wife in the Grove and just all his guests for fame and ratings. June using Lily for her own fame, selling her book and everything. The skeptic, or Christu using the crowd, obviously. The skeptic using Christu and the other, like June and the other paranormal people for his own purposes. You know, the only person who's not is Gus.
Gus, poor Gus.
Gus isn't using anyone.
Gus just wants to do his job.
And avoid worms.
And he doesn't like worms, yeah.
Doesn't like worms.
You know what's I noticed too this time around, because I was thinking about the title Late Night with the Devil. When he's doing his opening monologue, he's standing in front of that door and the owl gives him little devil horns. And I kind of think that the title, if you think about it as the trade-off of I ultimately sacrificed my wife for this, he's the titular devil. This is Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of neat.
His next guest is June Ross Mitchell, a psychic researcher.
Yeah, she was Elsa on Once Upon a Time.
Really? And she's in Saw 5.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Or no, wait, I'm sorry. She was the actress who played his wife, Madeline, was Elsa on Once Upon a Time.
Okay.
Jack Del Rey has a type, I think.
Oh, yeah, because he
likes
you find
pretty
out
blondes.
that he's into June, who, yes, was briefly in Saw 5. She is the first one killed by the group trap. She gets her head cut off. Before June comes on, we see a little intro video package introducing her and her research subject, Lily.
Yes.
And this is like a cult gone wrong. And this cult is very obviously Anton LaVey.
This is Anton LaVey, and this is the kind of homage to they show a few different like fake cult documentaries throughout this film, and they're all definitely homages to pre-existing films. This one specifically is an homage to a film called Satanus, the Devil's Mass, which I forget if I used clips of in our Wicker Man episode, but it is a documentary about Anton LaVey and his little cult that lived in what they called the Black House in San Francisco. And it looks very similar to this.
Now, did that also end in a shootout or
No.
like a siege? Okay, so this cult, led by Sandor Diabo, very close to Diablo,
Yeah.
is the first church of Abraxas, and they hole up in a home, and federal forces like start a siege for a few days, and it ends with them, the cult, lighting fire to their own house and themselves, and all of them dying except for a small child, Lily, who is taken in by June and researched. So this felt familiar, almost like, you know, obviously Waco, but that's later.
I was thinking Waco.
Maybe Jonestown.
Jonestown, like the oh my god, what's it called?
Or the Symbionese Liberation Army with Patty Hearst. That was also
That's another
like
one.
a shootout that was on the news.
I was thinking this wasn't really a cult, but the move was this like black liberation group that it was like a raid and a fire.
Yeah.
And that would have been in the 80s, but they were founded in the 70s.
Because Waco was later, right? Waco was 90s?
90s.
Yeah.
But
they all feel influencing this little like part that we see. And then they take in Lily, this little girl who and also one of the other things I noted the second time through was when we see the footage of Sandor Diabo, there's a lot of owl imagery there, and he mentions that the master demands a sacrifice. So that makes me wonder if those are just like thematic parallels, or if the first church of Abraxas is almost like an offshoot of the Grove.
I think he's
or associated
probably
with the
involved
Grove.
with the Grove.
Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah.
So
and he also says in the footage, or the narration says, anyone who witnesses the rituals of Abraxas will fall under its spell. So does that extend to all of us watching the footage? It kind of feels that way with where this movie goes by the end.
That's true, yeah. So June and Lily come out. Lily is fucking great as this little kid there's something off about her because she was rescued by a cult.
She was bred to be a child sacrifice of this cult.
At the age of 13, which she is now. And she's like staring into the cameras.
Yeah, she doesn't know where to look.
Yeah, when Jack's thrown to commercial and he's talking to his camera and it's like over her shoulder, she's like turning in just like blurrily in the foreground looking at the camera. It's great. Her voice is, you were saying, it's like deeper than you would expect for a creepy kid.
I think this actress is so great because she does something so interesting with the kind of creepy kid character. Yeah, her voice is deeper than you would expect. She still sounds like a kid, but she sounds like she's from the 70s, if that makes sense.
Yes, she does, for sure.
Like sometimes someone talks and it's like, oh, you know what Bluetooth is. You know what I mean? And this little girl, I compared her to an evil Jan Brady.
She does.
She
seem
sounds,
like an evil
and
Jan.
it's weird because later she says, what does she say? She says, it almost sounds like Marsha later. She says something 3 times, and I'm like, wait, is that a kind of weird reference? I don't know, but she does remind me of an evil Brady Bunch kid. I just think this actress is great.
She's awesome.
It'd be an easy choice to make to do like a creepy, high-pitched little kid thing, but instead she does something else, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. When they go to commercial and Jack makes like an offhand line for the makeup people to come in.
Yeah, come and make Lily look pretty,
or come and make us all look pretty, and she like looks at him and says, "Don't I already look pretty, Jack?"
And it's definitely his dead wife's voice.
Yeah, it's a completely different voice coming out of her, and he's not looking, so he kind of just like offhandedly catches it, and it's like, yeah, you do, but yeah, there's something wrong with this little girl.
Yeah,
clearly.
and June even says like, hey, I don't think we should do any invoking of stuff tonight because like pretty recently Lily went into a fugue state and started saying Jack's name over and over again, so
And it seems like ever since that fugue state, I mean, I saw someone surmise that like she's just possessed this whole time, and that the demon is just playing nice here, which is June says is not the demon Abraxas, but a minor demon who serves him, and Lily names him Mr. Wriggles because he kind of wriggles in and then wriggles out of her. And June and Carmichael are just button heads constantly. He is constantly just calling her out on her shit, saying he's concerned about the welfare of this child. She's getting mad that he's calling her a fraud. Yeah. She ends up slapping that kid.
She does.
So,
you kind of get a glimpse into what their relationship really is. Because June keeps saying, like, she took her in and she gives her love and compassion where she didn't have any. And Lily even kind of draws away from her when June goes to kind of touch her on the knee. And yeah, you definitely get a peek into what June really thinks of Lily, research subject versus an actual child.
But Jack wants them to try to invite Mr. Wriggles onto the show, and he's doing this while it's live, and so he's asking June,
Nothing
can we
will
do
go
it?
wrong.
And so live, she's like, yeah, I guess. And then it cuts to commercial, and she's like, thanks a lot, asshole.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, they're fucking.
Yes, they're very clearly fucking.
They're definitely doing it.
So we come back from a commercial, and it's a nice, like, he's in like a spotlight in the dark, and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Wriggles.
Yeah.
Lily is like strapped down to a chair, and June does, her thing, and it evokes the demon out of her. And the demon's confused at first, and the demon knows Jack. It says we've met
before.
We met amongst the tall trees.
The tall trees.
So out in the redwoods during the Grove stuff going on. So this is good creepy kid demon possessed stuff. Obviously, shades of Reagan with the look, with the hair over her eye.
And even just the name Mr. Wriggles feels very Captain Howdy.
Captain Howdy-esque, yeah. She starts saying vulgar stuff. My favorite is that when she's like intimating towards June and Jack's relationship, she's like, Jack and June went up the hill to fuck each other's brains out, and then says it again, and on the second time, fuck is censored. So it's like they didn't expect it the first time, but the live censor was there to catch it when she went for the second verse.
It's such a nice touch.
It's a nice little touch, yeah.
Yeah. Then her voice kind of changes, and she asks, how could you let it happen, Jack? And it kind of sounds like
Madeline.
The wife again, yeah.
And then the chair like levitates off the ground.
Yeah, it's
real
crazy.
Cool. Good stuff.
She snaps out of it, and then wow, commercial break. And then Jack, you would expect to be kind of horrified, especially considering maybe that was the voice of his dead wife coming out of there. He's like, we gotta get you two back on a show regulars. That shit was crazy.
His producer's like, people are calling in. They're scared. They're freaked out. He's like, yes, we're back, baby.
We're back, baby.
Ratings are going up with this crazy ass shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So after the break is Carmichael's turn to prove them wrong.
Yeah, and he's like, listen, I know how you did all that. So I'm gonna prove that I can do something similar. It's all fake, and I'm gonna use trickery to do so.
Yeah.
So he
asks for a volunteer. Thank you, Gus.
Thanks, Gus.
Poor Gus.
So he's similar setup. They're sitting across from each other. They get a fog machine though, which is unfair.
Yeah. My compliments to the production.
Yeah. And so then he starts to hypnotize Gus, which this is one of my favorite shots in the whole thing for some reason. I think
with the watch?
Yeah, the lighting is just real crisp. The lighting in this scene specifically, this close-up of this watch looks so 70s to me. I can't explain it. You know how like the lighting in The Love Witch is so perfect for that? It's a similar quality in this close-up that I just really enjoy. But you see the kind of, it's this moving stopwatch, and then it turns into a spiral, very like,
classic.
Yeah, it's classic. And he starts hypnotizing Gus, and Gus starts, it's hot in here, so he takes off his jacket and unbuttons the top of his shirt, and Carmichael's like, what's that in your neck? He goes, oh yeah, I cut myself shaving. And then he touches his neck, and oh my god, there's worms.
He's pulling
worms out of his neck.
And he hates worms.
Freaking out. He fucking hates. He's terrified of worms. It's his worst fear. And then he's like, oh my god, they're inside of me. He pulls open his stomach. There's worms falling out. It's disgusting.
Everyone, the crowd is freaking out.
Great practical effects here.
Awesome effects here.
Then Carmichael
winks at the camera, which is great.
Yes,
He's like,
he winks
don't
while
worry.
all this is happening. It's so cool. I love this whole thing.
Yeah, this scene is great.
Then Gus's head his eye pops out and there's this worm, this giant worm thing.
worm
It's
coming out
very-
his head. It's my favorite moment of the movie. It looks
It's
so
so
fucking
great.
cool.
I love it. And then what does Carmichael say? He's like dreamer,
Dreamer awake.
like dreamer here awake or something.
Yes, dreamer here awake.
It's his phrase to get people out of the trance,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're all good.
Yep.
Gus just kind of has his shirt ripped open, but that's it. And everyone is like, what the fuck? And Jack is even like, all right, you got to tell us what just happened because that was crazy.
So they play back that
They
tape,
play
baby.
back the footage, and what we see is what you would have seen if you watched this and you weren't in a trance. It's just him telling him, you're really hot. By the way, there's worms coming out of your neck. Oh my God, worms everywhere. You can feel them inside you. And it's just him.
I love the little picture-in-picture box of them watching back the footage, and Gus
having the worst day of his life.
Gus literally says, "I've never been so embarrassed in my life."
Gus being us watching back drunk Disney footage where we don't remember what happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is all. Yep, it was the illusion. We see the footage as it actually was because we are now not in the trance, which is kind of a neat way of doing this. But then June and Lily point out, Lily points out rather, okay, well, if you go back to my footage, theoretically it should also be quote unquote normal. And June is like, I don't want to do this because it is discussed that Lily doesn't really know what's going on when she is like possessed, and I'm sure it would be like looking in a mirror while you're on acid or something. It's like, dude, no, we can't. But the entire Loop group in the audience is like, do it, show us the footage. Do it, Jack. So they decide, okay, yeah, we're gonna play the fucking
This is when Cleo James gets bumped.
That's right, because apparently they're supposed to cut to the musical guest Cleo James, and
Jack's like, "No, we got to see this footage."
yeah,
So
Cleo James, runner up for most screwed over character in this, aside from Gus, but at least Cleo James doesn't get murdered.
So they show the footage, and it's exactly how we saw it. Possession happened for real.
Yep.
And then they're like, "Wait a minute, what was that little frame that we saw?" And if you're watching like us, you see like a face in the back of Lily's head.
Yeah, I will try my best to get that still and put it in the podcast so we can see what it actually is.
I know, because we haven't gone frame by frame yet, so I'm interested to
we
see what it
couldn't
was.
frame by frame on
because
the
when they
TV.
go back and do frame by frame, that's not what they pause on. They pause on a full-on Madeline
hate
ghost
this.
standing at
Listen.
Jack's. It doesn't look great.
It looks bad. It's like a clearly comped in ghost figure where the mouth is even kind of digitally stretching open, and it looks like a weird like Adult Swim live action thing that would air late at night, like this house. Have you seen This House Has People in it or no?
No, I haven't.
Something like that, or like a Too Many Cooks, where it works for those because that's just the style. But this, I'm just immediately taken out of it.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. They cut away pretty quickly, but not quick enough for me to be
They
like,
cut away to something that I think is creepier. You see her hand on his shoulder.
"Oh yeah,
It's like
that's
a
better."
kind of corpse-looking hand, and it's there so briefly. I wish that they had just had her, not like all ghostly and glowy, just her standing there in the footage,
And then shit just starts to go wild. Lily gets all real electrical looking.
Yeah, it's very poltergeist, the kind of because there's been shit going on with the electricity this whole time.
Yeah, like there was a therean that started playing
That's
itself.
right, the theremin.
But
Do you remember that guy we were at?
we can't go on a tangent. Where are we at?
1:15.
Yeah. What?
2 minutes. We were at a convention, and I forget which one. It might have been like Wonder or VidCon, like one of the like bigger Southern California like generic cons where it's like more broad pop culture. And there's a guy who had a theremin. Do you remember this? There was a guy who had a theremin and let us like play it.
Oh yeah.
And he hands out. He'll like let you like fuck around with the theremin, and he'll give you a card that says, "I have played the theremin, and I still have mine somewhere." So if you are on the Southern California convention circuit, let me know if that guy's still running around because he's cool. Anyway.
Yeah, Lily's head fucking splits open.
Yeah, I do.
I love this.
I like this effect. This one works because it's neat. Her head, splits open long ways down the middle, and her eyes are glowing, and it
looks like lava coming. It's just all very electrical and fiery.
Like goopy electrical stuff.
It's really cool. I love the way it looks.
Yeah.
She levitates.
Yeah,
again?
she's
Is she, like,
levitating,
levitating
and
again?
she is ready to fuck everyone's shit up.
Yeah, it's unsure. Are we dealing with two different entities
I
here?
think
Are we dealing
so.
with a demon who is in Lily for sure, but then also the vengeful spirit of Madeline?
I think the vengeful spirit of Madeline is the quote-unquote minor demon that is one of Abraxas's. She's not a minor demon, but that is essentially what
But wait,
she's...
but you think that the wife is in Lily then?
I think at certain points, yeah. That's why she sounds like her.
Oh, I guess, yeah. Huh. Mm-hmm. Gus, bless
and it's
his...
perfect because they talk about how Abraxas is a showman.
Yes.
And they say that's where the phrase abracadabra comes from.
Yeah.
And I think it's very intentional that his dead wife was an actress
Okay.
and a performer.
Yeah.
So
Gus, bless his heart, instead of just running out there, he takes out a crucifix and tries to power of Christ compels you.
and this whole time he's like, I am uncomfortable.
Yeah, this
okay?
whole movie he's been like, God, I really don't want to do this.
I am very uncomfy.
But the
and I
producer's
hate
yelling
it.
at him, and he's like, put that smile on. Put that smile on. Or else
Yeah.
we'll fucking replace
Get
you.
to work,
And
Gus.
Gus,
And earlier, Carmichael says, like, oh, I think Gus jokes, like, what are you going to do? Like, make my head spin around or something?
yeah,
and
my wife likes my head just the way it is. Please don't spit it. His head gets twisted
yeah,
around.
he gets spun.
Probably my least favorite effect in the movie, maybe.
It's not my least favorite. I think the wife ghost apparition is my least
Okay.
favorite because it's just so the payoff is just
Yeah, but his head spinning around doesn't look great. I
It
do
feels like
that
you
he
know you
falls
gotta
through a table.
sneeze and then it kind of goes away and it feels weird. You know, where it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
fuck, I was expecting a sneeze. That's
Oh,
what
that's the
that's
ghost?
what the
Oh,
ghost
okay.
feels like to me.
Yeah. Yeah, Gus's head gets turned backwards and he falls through a table. And then Carmichael, he's a believer now.
This is great.
He takes out the check to give to...
Dude, he gets out that fucking check as he should because clearly this shit's real. And you
he's
know
ready
what? Again, Carmichael Haig has done nothing wrong. He sees proof of the paranormal. He holds up that
He's ready to pay out, man.
check. You know what? But he still gets burnt up.
Yeah, the demon says abracadabra,
Burns
burns up
the
the
check.
check, and then burns him to death. And I like the look of his burning.
I like it too. It looks good.
yeah, his burnt corpse looks real good.
Jack escapes out the like sliding door, and
Yeah, his,
he also
producer helps him out.
escapes the
producer
aspect
doesn't
ratio.
doesn't die.
No, that producer
That shitty
deserves
Leo
it.
Fisk or whatever.
Yeah.
The producer. Yeah, so he leaves.
He leaves the aspect ratio of the film.
Well, the camera like zooms in or gets sucked into Lily's face. It goes to static. There's like a face in the static that you
this
don't love.
effect looks bad too.
The smiling face
It
in
just
the static.
looks like a digital.
It looks like a albino black sheep, like scary.
Yeah.
and
Like,
then-
come on. We just had Skinamarink do
Yeah.
a lo-fi, creepy static face. We can do better.
And it cuts to a station difficulties card.
That starts melting.
It
nice.
melts a little later, but
Oh.
it goes to this first. And I was like, that could have been the end of the movie. And we could have pieced together the sacrifice of his wife. It could have been left more ambiguous. But that's when I checked the time code and it was only 1:20. So
Yeah.
would have been too short for the movie. And so we get this weird, yeah, like you said, he escapes the aspect ratio. This has all been in, while we're in the TV portion, it's the 4:3, like more boxy, standard def TV.
Yeah.
The behind the scenes stuff is more widescreen, but this is like widescreen.
Yeah,
with the
with
black
letterbox.
bars. Yeah, letterbox.
Yeah, and it's just kind of a nightmare montage through like the bits we saw of the show at the beginning, but they're just kind of nightmare versions of
Like
themselves
the animal handler
now.
has the worm that came
The
out of Gus's
worms,
head.
like, look at this little guy. There's like weird sketch comedy we're doing where Jack just doesn't say his lines and like storms off set and is confused and
He starts yelling at anyone watching to turn
turn it off.
Sounds like
turn
the end
it
of Halloween
off!
3.
Yeah, it's very Halloween 3 for sure. Because there's footage of the old woman spinning the wheel, but now it's a big hypnotist spiral, and yeah, I start screaming, "Turn it off!" And then we cut to the same scene of him inking that 5-year deal, And we hear that reporter again saying, "What'd you sacrifice to get here?" And the network president's like, "Oh, his greatest sacrifice is yet to come." And he hands him a little cup. And that's when the set changes into we're at the Grove. And this is basically a recreation, I think, of his ritual that he did.
There's an owl guy there. I will say owl guys scare me.
Yeah.
I think owl guys are creepy. Owls themselves, fine.
Oh, okay.
Owl people,
creepy.
Yeah. Like the DLC for Outer Wilds.
Yes, very
Those owl
creepy.
people, fucking scary.
They are scary.
Scary as shit.
Have you seen The Fifth Kind? I forget. Oh, we should watch
owl
that.
people?
It's owl stuff, and it scared the shit out of me. I wonder if it's still scary, though, because I saw that before I was, like, really into horror movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the people from the audience in their costumes
skeleton.
are present, including the skeleton who he was just ribbing. I think everyone expected more from that skeleton after that
like
initial
it.
interaction. But he's just sitting there.
Yeah.
He's just vibing.
Yeah, he's kind of Twitter's favorite right now, or at least he's all over my Twitter feed.
He's the non-problematic skeleton from this movie.
Dude, for sure. Yeah. He's the Chad skeleton.
And then like the forest opens up and he's in a almost
This feels
2001
very, Beau is Afraid.
Oh, okay. And
2000, yes, it reminded me
2001
of, yes,
for sure,
the bed at the
because his sick wife is in bed.
100%.
Feels like the end of 2001.
The framing too, where it's like just dead center frame. Yeah. So it's his wife dying in bed, and he even says it wasn't supposed to turn out this way to her.
And she says, "Kill me."
One thing you gotta put me out of my misery. You gotta stab me with this ritual knife that we have been talking about this whole fucking movie. The prop masters are talking about it. Like, it is constantly around, and you just are waiting for it to get used.
Does he use that to cut open, cut the straps off?
Yeah,
movies?
it's everywhere, and we're
Yeah.
waiting for someone to get stabbed with it. So he stabs his wife, but then he snaps out of it, and he killed Lily. He sacrificed. He finally did the demon's bidding, essentially, and sacrificed Lily.
But it's not to say that the demon wasn't real, because the bodies of Gus with his head backwards and the burnt up Carmichael, they're still around.
I think it definitely was all real. He just had like a weird vision quest kind of thing.
Yeah, but assuming, because I saw some people surmise that like, his wife's ghost made it so that he killed a kid on TV, which would ruin his fame and end his career. But if everyone saw what was going on, I feel like you might be in the clear for stabbing that kid.
I think it's like this weird partnership between the demon and his dead wife is kind of what I'm getting. Or the demon like using his dead wife. Exploiting his dead wife's anger at what happened to her as like a, hey, isn't it fucked up that...
But why would it have him kill the demon and possessed?
Is it a monkey's paw thing of he achieves infamy by
Yeah.
killing someone
Yeah.
live on TV, and then also fulfills this prophecy of the demon? So
Yeah.
the demon gets what he wants, but he also fulfills the
I think that's exactly what it is.
wish.
Oh, I'm saying, wouldn't he be a hero for killing this demon?
No, because he participated in a ritual that gave his wife cancer so that he couldn't be more famous.
But did the viewing audience know that? That was like his
Also,
own
he
little
didn't
vision
kill the
quest.
demon. He sacrificed Lily. The demon is still...
Let the demon out.
Yeah. Because that's why at the end, it cuts and it says end transmission, and the font changes to so it is done. And we are all like, the demon has been basically transmitted through the TV. They even say earlier, I think Carmichael makes a joke about like, the devil's not going to pop out of the TV.
Oh, yeah. Late Night with the Devil.
Yep.
Good stuff.
It's good. I did like it more upon rewatch. I just don't know the ending. I'm still iffy on. I don't know if I love the breaking the framing device.
Yeah, at that point. I think it's a tough. How do you end this?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could have gone the more ambiguous, like just the end transmission you don't see anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously, they went with a kind of more of an explainer, surreal type thing.
Yeah. And
I
then
don't know. I
like
don't hate it.
setups to scares are so scary, and then the actual scares themselves, I think they kind of like trip over themselves, and it's
A little bit, yeah. Some of the payoffs aren't what you
Yeah.
want them to be, but I imagine this will be nominated aplenty
yeah, for sure.
come next horror awards. Just
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot going on here, and like I said, cozy, easy watch. That'll be great around Halloween time.
Yeah, like I enjoy watching this.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of
And like I said, the music, just
Yeah.
the color palette, everything is
it
just
evokes
like
a feeling. Or
Yeah.
I'm like I like just being in the world of this movie, and sometimes that's just enough for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let us know what you thought. It's on Shudder, so if you have Shudder, you can check it out. And yeah, definitely worth watching and having your own opinion as always. Is Survivor the next episode?
I think we're doing Horror Survivor 5 the next episode. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna have to get that. And five's a bit of a milestone, huh? Any plans?
I'm afraid of saying anything in case it doesn't happen. I want to have some returning
Some returnees,
contestants.
I think, is appropriate.
That's all I'm gonna say for now.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll try and make it special.
great. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed to Dead Meat Presents, the channel that this
Please
is on,
subscribe to Dead Meat
Please do.
Presents.
we just hit 50K.
Hey,
So that's cool.
Hell yeah!
I'll feel better when we're at 100.
I want that silver play button.
Give us another silver play
Come
button, baby.
on.
And subscribe to Practical Folks while you're at it. That's a 96. Give us another silver play button. Fuck it. If we ever do that last Drunk Disney, I think that would put it over the top.
I think so. Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's all the more reason to do it.
Exactly. Just fucking fill our, have it, the thing on the mobile.
What?
Pat Finnerty.
Yeah.
Oh
it's
yeah,
the
yeah,
thing,
like
yeah.
Pat Finnerty's. Yeah. Another great YouTuber. What makes the song stink? We're all obsessed with his channel. Please go watch it and subscribe. Great. That's it for now. Social media.
Dead Meat James, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram.
And I'm at Carebeck, CREBECC on Twitter and Instagram. And the merch store, it doesn't exist right now. So
Yep.
we're working on it. We know.
We're working on it. We didn't ask for this.
We did not ask for this. Don't worry about it. We're fixing it. Things are happening behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, great.
Also, I won't give details, but maybe go to VidCon this year.
Maybe go to VidCon this year.
Could be cool.
Check it out. There
all
could
I'm
be
saying.
some cool stuff there.
Might be. People are saying.
Many people are saying. All right, till next time, I'm Chelsea.
I'm James.
And
That's
Gressel.
Thanks, Gressel.
And this has been the Dead Meat Podcast.